Heather.
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you. Sounds good. It's good to let
And
everybody know.
just another FYI, sorry to interrupt, Stacy. Jeanette Monclova is here. She's our ABA supervisor. Her
Oh,
camera
great.
is off because she's at the dentist with her son right
Okay.
now.
Okay. All right. Well, hello, Jeanette. Yeah, she's here, and I'm excited that all of the supervisors and program directors are here. So this is the agenda. Everybody got it emailed. You can see how we're going to go through everything. Again, this meeting is going an overview of policies and procedures, specifically highlighting changes and things that we need to focus on for best practice. So changes that have come due. So if you need the full video on how to do any of the items, we have resources, and any of the supervisors can answer your questions as well. So we're just going to be running through it in the 2 hours, and if there's anything that we left out or you have any questions, please put the questions in the chat. So basically, everybody's going to stay muted, camera on at all times, Q&A, ask in the chat, right? And then, so just also, I'm not sure if you are all aware, we have a YouTube channel, and I'm going to pop on over to our PowerPoint that we have going on so that we could see what's next. We have a YouTube channel with some resources, and we also have the document library that's in the process of being updated with all the new procedures. So forgive me if I'm having a little bit of a technical issue getting to the PowerPoint. Here we are. Okay, so I'm going to stop share and move on to the next part. And so just follow along in the agenda. If I miss anything, I'm happy for somebody to just tell me, hey, you skipped over this. Okay. Well, let's go here. And we're going to go ahead and slideshow. So you saw the agenda, you all have that. Again, here we are, Heather and myself, as well as Jeanette and Deborah. So again, the document library in ProviderSoft. Who knows how to get there? Raise of hands or put your hand up in the chat, the little icon. Who knows how to get to the document library for resources? Oh, yay, I see some hands. Good. Good, good, good. Excellente. The document library, again, we update all the time, and it needs an overhaul, and we're in the process of doing that. So we also have an awesome YouTube channel. Over here, we have our link, and then also, again, another resource, supervisors and program director. So again, some tips for a workaround in the document library. We have different videos or diagrams to show tips on getting a parent signature electronically. And then also who's who do we go to for what and for why? Who is Yana? Everyone knows Yana is our case manager, and she lets you know when you've got a case, when to start, and if you have progress reports due. But you don't need her to tell you that because you already know, right? So then we're going to go through here. Again, the document library has a lot of other things, but we just wanted to let you know any updates or videos are either on the YouTube channel, or if you can't find it, it'll be in the document library.
We have a question from Gemini PT.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's not a question. I thought you were just like, I was
Oh,
just.
raise your hand to see who knows
Oh,
how
for
to
the
get to the
documents
document
library.
library.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Well,
I'm trying to engage you. It's late. I want everybody to stay awake.
I would love to see, does anyone have can you share your screen to show where the documents library is, just for providers who may not know?
Would you want me to, or you want the provider who raised their
Yeah,
hand?
well, either way.
Okay. So who wants to walk me through it? Okay. Let me see here. I'm going to my therapist login. Let's make sure it goes through. So I'm logging in. Can everybody see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yep.
So we go into the documents section and we go to the documents library and we have all these beautiful resources here. Again, we're in the process of updating things. So there's
Yeah, I updated everything. Everything should be updated in here.
oh, sweet. So we got it
Yeah.
all. We got it all. Look at all this. Oh, I forget who can diagnose. I forget, some clinician's guide for early intervention. What is, some other disciplines, healthy development. We have some examples of healthy development. A parent says, hey, I think my child needs a PT referral or a speech referral or OT referral. This gives you an idea in other disciplines what they should be doing. And so you can let parents know whether, it's something that you should do, just to put a justification for another evaluation, or if it's, within the age range expected. So we have some other things like, let's see, all the way down here, we have mobile app information, web platform information. So whether you're working off the web app or the web platform or the mobile app, we have resources for both. Okay. And we're going to be talking today about session notes and progress notes and specific updates and changes. So I'm going to pop right on back to the PowerPoint. Let's see if it'll go right to it, and it won't. So that's lovely.
There you go.
Okay. So let's see. So for electronic documentation and billing through ProviderSoft, we have both the mobile app, like I said, and web-based platform. There are resources both in the doc library and YouTube, as well as your supervisors. But we want you to be autonomous because you're out there doing your thing, right? So we have a lot of resources. Mobile app is really best for in-person documentation, and it's mobile phone and iPad friendly. The web-based platform is available for everyone, but currently it's the only option for CODAs. So some of the new updates, I know some of the people that I've trained, we were always post a single session note, but now we have a more streamlined populated session note. So you don't have to do the activities page and the session note. You just do the one page. A lot of it pre-populates for you, but you go to populate a session note versus post. Many of you were newly trained, so you already know post, but for those of you populating, cut out that extra step and go right to post a single session.
No, it's the other way around. Go right to populate a session note.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you,
okay.
Deborah. So
You're
yeah,
welcome.
so go right to populate a session note, and you don't need to do the post a single session anymore, okay? So in terms of the electronic documentation, did I miss something? No, we're still going. Electronic documentation. So for telehealth, electronic billing, you can request the parent signature function. Is everyone familiar with this? It's very, very easily done. And you can do it even with the parent, hey, check your email. I'm sending it through right now. Get it done right then and there. And then there's no issues with billing. And Galena can easily bill and not bug you for your service logs or any of that. The location of services for telehealth is new. So it's not telehealth. It's where the child is. So you select where the child is. And you do not put telehealth anymore. Where you do select telehealth is on the second page on the confirmation log. Some people are unable to send it through. They get stuck and they give up because there's a teeny little checkbox of in-person or telehealth on the confirmation of service delivery log, that second page. So make sure and go ahead and check the correct box. So you want to make sure you get the parent's email so that you can have immediate billing. Remind the parent to do it at the end of the session and have them check the email. Encourage this at the end of the session. Why? Because it might go to junk mail or spam. So you have to make sure that it gets through to the parent. Okay. The parent enters the date of birth in the following format. We've had situations where parent is just entering month, month, year, year, day, day, year, year, or month, month, day, day, year, year, but this is the format. So they're like, I can't open it. I can't open it. Just make sure to highlight that this is the format that they enter the birth date in order to access the electronic signature function. Again, there's a demonstration for the YouTube link. I'm trying to decide if we have time for all of these things or
The
if we
YouTube link's about 3 minutes for the parent signature if you want to show it.
3 minutes. Let's see. We have a lot going on. But I can
We have
show
a
it.
question in the chat.
Yeah, go for it.
What is the box that should be checked if it's telehealth on the second page? So at the top of the session note, you will check either in person or telehealth. And then on the service log, the second page, you also have to check the telehealth or in person on that second page. So it matches.
But that's different than the location, right? It's not telehealth. So she's talking about a different thing. So let's see. Shall we pop on over to our YouTube link? Let's see. Okay, so completing a session note and sending it to parents for electronic signature.
Hi everyone, I'm going to show you today how to submit a session note for signature. So the first step is to go onto ProviderSoft into the session logging section of ProviderSoft, and you're going to select populate a session note, select your child, and then you input all the information as you would for any other session note. So I'm going to put, this is going to be an example for a telehealth session. So IFSQ service location home, session delivered through telehealth. I'm going to put the time here, 6:30 a.m. The 7 o'clock is populating for some reason, but you can change it to whatever time is the time of your session. Input all the important information. Selection.
Oh, I think intensity was a question.
And you describe what happened during the session, during today's session. We worked on signing more during mealtime to request.
Do you want to pause that a second, Stacy, and I'll explain what the intensity is?
Yep. I think we'll get to it
So if you,
with the session note, but
if you scroll up a little bit, just scroll up. Yeah, so you can see the top.
This is the video, so I can back.
Oh, that's right. You can't scroll up, can you?
Time to request is the time of your session.
So you can see the intensity.
Intensity for competent care will always, always be home community. So it's going to default to that on your, if you're using the populated session note. If you're not using populated session note, you're going to have to write those words in. So unlike what it sounds like, everyone thinks intensity is 5 times 60, 2 times 30. It's not what it is. It's actually facility services, which we are not a facility, or home and community, and that's what we are. So it'll always be home and community. A really common mistake where a form like this may not be submitted, by the way, if you put in like 7, just the number 7 and not 7:00 for 7 o'clock, you're going to get, it's an error message and it's not going to tell you why it's an error. So that's another common mistake. Yeah.
Okay.
And you describe what happened during the session, during today's session. We worked on signing more during mealtime to request food entry. Parent provided models and times. Able to sign more 5 times. Session, he was only able to sign once with this level of support. That use of cues to assist with following directions during playtime. So here I'm just making sure that I have all the important information they ask for session 2. So they want the routine activity, I put mealtime and ADL, and then the strategies, I put models and prompts. And they also ask, when possible, to include any caregiver feedback on how to incorporate the strategies between sessions. So the parent reported use of cues, follow directions was
What happened? Okay.
Then how did you work with the parent or caregiver? Observe the parent, caregiver tried the activity, demonstrated the activity into the parent or caregiver. And then over here, I'm just gonna put parent agree, continue working on so very often something you do during a session, you can then put that as section 4, what the parent can do in between visits. Since we want in early intervention, we want to continue practicing repeating these skills so that the child acquires the skills. I'm going to put relationship to child mother, and I'm going to sign it here. And I'm going to scroll down to page 2. And I'm going to put telehealth. And I'm going to go back up. And instead of posting session as I typically would, I'm going to hit save as draft. And I'm going to go to my drafted notes.
So you see, this is different. You're not posting it. You're going to go to your drafts so that you can do the next step for electronic signature capture.
And it will tell you when you go to that note. So you'll see your child, you'll look at the note, the time that you created it, and you go to signature status and you request the signature. So it's very similar to how we did it with the confirmation logs in the document section of ProviderSoft. But here we do this through the session note, through the drafted notes. I'm going to put the email address. I'm going to put my own, confirm. And I'll just use this as an example, another note that I did recently. So once the parent has received the note and signs the note, if you go to your drafted notes and you go here into signature status, you'll see that it says signed. So you can simply click on the pencil. You select post session and your sign note here. Just make sure it's signed in both places. Signed, you post it. And then you're all set. Your billing is done. No confirmation logs. Everything is all set. One thing that I would just recommend is that you're telling the parents about this new method of signing. They're going to do it similarly to how they did the remote signature capture for the confirmation logs. However, just remind them that they have to scroll down, that there are 2 places where they will need to sign. So they'll have to sign the bottom of the session note, page 1, and then they'll have to scroll down on page 2. And sign there as well. Okay, so that's how you do it. If anyone has any questions or needs any further support, please feel
free to contact any of us because we are always here and always available, as you know already.
I have a question.
Yep.
So let's say it's not telehealth.
I'm sorry. So let's say it's what?
Let's say it's not telehealth. We finish the session.
Mm-hmm.
We electronically sign it, put all of our information in, electronically sign it. The parent signs it. Now what?
Oh,
You go right to post it.
Yep.
You would just post it as long as
Yep.
both are signed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then after post it, do we have to do anything else?
Nope. If
Nothing
both are
else.
signed, that's it.
They sign 2 times the
Right.
note and the confirmation log right then and there, and then it's done.
Okay. Another
Done.
question. The notes in ProviderSoft, do they have the new codes already in there so that we don't have to input them
Yes,
ourselves?
Yes.
yes, I put the new codes in.
Okay.
Here's the deal, guys. If you're handing in billing from July, August, anything that's old that you forgot to hand in or something happened, yada, 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 even though it was 3 months ago, you need the new codes.
Mhm.
Because EI Hub, our new state system, which opens tomorrow, will not accept old codes. So even if you have old billing you haven't handed in yet, and we're going to try to get paid for it, and we're going to try to get you paid for it, you got to use the new codes. Okay.
What,
Is there, last question, because I think it's an excellent system. I like using it when it works. See, my only problem is the inputting of the information is so lengthy to me and to the parent. And so the parent, if I do ABA and I've done 5 hours, that means that they have to sign 10 times, right?
Yes, they do.
And the parents complain that it
Mhm.
takes too long.
I have a
That's a
question.
note.
So then the session didn't happen. It's not documented. You don't get paid. We don't get paid. There is no option.
No, so what
I
I
understand. Yeah.
so what I did to circumvent that issue is to print out the blank with the appropriate codes and everything already in there so that the parent only has to sign it twice or 10 times if it's ABA. And I've seen the child, let's say 5 times in one day. Do you have a
If your note is printed at any time,
Mhm.
you're creating an enormous amount of extra work for you
Yeah.
and for the agency.
I
Have
have
the
to
parent
say,
sign 10 times.
yeah, I
Have the
have to
parent
say,
sign 10 times.
I love the questions, guys. I'm sorry to cut you off. We just have a lot to get to. So if it's specific, can you reach out to either Heather, Jeanette, or Deborah, or even myself for any questions? We're gonna get to everything. Put it in the chat. We just have a lot to get to, and I know we don't want to stay after 10:30. Angela, thank you so much for your questions. I hope we can get to the bottom of it for you. I just want to make sure everyone's time is used wisely tonight, okay?
I have no
Thank
further.
you so much. I really appreciate it. And Ali, I saw your hand up, but if you don't mind putting your question in the chat. Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Stacy, I don't want to interrupt. There was another quick question that's important.
Yep.
That Moshe asked is if it is in person, do you still request for that signature by mail? Absolutely not. You do not, you need to request it by email. Yes. Okay, now I'm seeing it. Is it in person, do you still request for that signature via email? Yes, you're doing an electronic note, you're doing it in front of the parent, you're requesting electronic signature. When you use ProviderSoft and you have electronic signature, you do not have to keep copies. And the agency doesn't have to keep copies of
Wait, I'm
originals or
sorry.
blue.
I misunderstood the question. He's asking, I thought if he needs to request it via email. No, you're in person, so you get the signatures in person.
Right
Is
there.
that the
Right.
question? Okay, Moshe, I got you. Okay, yes. When you're in person, you're there. You're just saying, here, sign both notes. Boom, done on
Thank
whatever
you.
device you have, whether it's a tablet or your phone. You don't have to request e-signature. That's only for telehealth. Okay, everybody understand? Okay. If I understood that correctly. Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right. So session notes, here we are. We have the new session note. And I wanted to show you that there are some changes to it. I think it's much more streamlined and easy. Hopefully you do too. You don't have to guess what's needed. If you read what it says, you actually will do the note correctly if you're adding the information. So the other one, you kind of had to make inference what's in the first part versus the second part, and it wasn't clear. Now it's very crystal clear, in my opinion. So obviously all the demographic information, a lot of it pre-fills, okay? ProviderSoft pre-fills it. So if there's any errors, we need to know right away. The service coordinator needs to know because it could be an error in EI Hub and it needs to be updated on the legal document. Everything comes from the IFSP and the legal document. So we make sure, even if the pronouns are incorrect, even if the name's spelled wrong, even if it's we call him something else, it needs to be on the IFSP. Okay, that's our legal document that we go by. And your credentials, pre-fills as well. So we talked about this before, the service location, we have it spelled out here. All of this is taken directly from the training or the new updated document regarding session notes. So you provide the IFSP location. This is a location where the IFSP indicates the services to be provided. And we talked about this. There shouldn't be, if there's any questions, we can definitely answer, oh, they're in a daycare or they're in this. So if we look at the natural environment, it plays an important role. And we want to make sure that the natural environment could be the home, the grocery store, playground, library, places of worship, daycare centers, that sort of thing. And materials that you're using are typically found and used in the child's natural environment and during their daily routines. You're not introducing this brand new toy and then taking it away like the old model, right? We're using what's in the home. Oh, they don't have any toys. It's time to be super duper creative. What can we do to make it happen? So we can also, as supervisors, we can help you kind of brainstorm as well. I know people are still bringing their materials, and we'll get to that in a minute. So making sure that you're using the items that are in the home versus therapist brought a blank. We want, in the child's home, they have something, or a favorite toy or whatever. The people who the child interacts with on a consistent, regular basis during their daily routine. So this is people you're incorporating in the note that you can follow up with. This can also be the daycare teacher, the parents, could be a sibling, a babysitter, and a relative. So, and what their usually family routines are. So meal times, bath times, dressing, travel, celebrating holidays, playing with siblings, going outside. By considering all these components of the natural environment, interventionists can enhance their provision of culturally respectful and family-centered EI services. For services provided in childcare programs, EI services should be provided in the to the EI child within the childcare group. So you're not supposed to take them out. I don't know if everybody knows, but we don't want to take them out of the natural environment, isolate them in a separate routine. Sometimes that's not an option or they don't offer it, but we want them to be with other typically developing children so that you can see them and their behavior and you can manage and use those activities within their natural environment. If you're taking them off to a little OT room or a little PT gym separate from all the other kids, it doesn't really help for carryover, right? When the child is pulled to another room or segregated, the child is the child care group during EI sessions. EI session is no longer being provided in the child's natural environment. So we have to make sure that, I know in school they don't, I'm blanking on the term, but you're wanting to push in versus pull out, When services are not provided in the natural environment, such as when provided at a center-based program, the reason why are required to be documented in the IFSP. So it can be documented the reason why you do something different than you normally would, something wasn't available, or there's been a change in the schedule. Make sure to document if something comes up and changes your ability to provide the service as was meant to be provided. Again, another way you can do, if you're going to do therapy and parent wants to cancel because they want to go to the playground or the library, hey, I can do services there. We just have to fill out one of those like safety forms. If you've seen it, it's also in the document library. It just makes, and you have to upload it to the inbox, the document inbox, so that if you do want to see a child and you don't want them to cancel, you can see them anywhere that is within their natural environment. So the date note written and time and intensity. So we all know that the date note written and comes up for when you prep your note. So if you're prepping your note before, a day before, it automatically sets it for that time. It doesn't, you have to go in and then change it to make sure the date and time all match. So the date of the session, date and time of the session, the date note written, and the signatures. Okay. The date the interventionist completes. So home community, it will always be this for competent care. This is something to pay attention to. So for the intensity. Okay. The exact duration of the session from begin time to end time, AM, PM, must be indicated in order to support billing. So you have to get overlaps because maybe you didn't forget the exact minute it starts on. There's easy, if you have an overlap, sometimes we can't bill for it because you waited too long to input your session note and we couldn't help justify your time. So make sure that you collaborate with the caregiver and other services so you know that you're not going to be overlapping. CPT codes for SI and ABA. This is new. I don't know if Jeanette or Deborah want to hop in here.
Sure.
This is something I'm not super familiar with, but this just came out last week, I believe, or
It did.
October 4th.
Well, yeah, it did a couple of weeks ago. I
Mhm.
think we didn't realize that we were going to have to implement it sooner than 10/15. That happens while I was on vacation, but this is only for special educators. So OT, PT, speech social workers on the call who are providing social work services, you're fine. The codes are no different. But for ABA, it will always be 97153, which is direct service, right? Times 4, because you're doing a 1-hour session and that code is a 15-minute code. So it's 97153 times 4. And then for special instruction, like 2 times 30, regular special instruction, it's H2019. And if it's going to be special instruction for a 60-minute session, it's H2019 times 4 instead of times 2. That's all.
Okay, very cool. Thank you. Again, anything we talk about can refer back to, you're going to have this PowerPoint in the document library, so you can always refer back to it and resources available. That's why we're kind of just moving through this. Also, the session note instructions. This is what we get from BEI and Board of Early Intervention, and this is all the instructions and the form. We do not use paper, we use ProviderSoft. And so all of what we spoke about, electronic documentation, is through ProviderSoft. But please note that all session note fields are mandatory. You have an explanation of each component, which I've discussed. I've talked about all of this. And then how the session was delivered. The codes, the HCPC codes, the CPT codes. So some people, this is an area that sometimes we've been audited on. Session canceled. When the session is canceled, you have to do these 3 things. Indicate the session was canceled and document the reason under question number 1. So, with the drop down, if you select other, you need to fill something in. The missed session must be made up for. So write the date that is 2 weeks from the missed session note. This often is left blank, so please make sure to calculate the 2 weeks and put in the date the makeup should be made up for. And then this is a makeup for whatever. You can't do, obviously, a makeup session if you haven't documented a missed session. So please just make sure when a session is canceled, these 3 things are done. There is the makeup policy. We're gonna talk about it briefly, but the full makeup policy is also in the updated early intervention provider manual. Session participants. This is often another thing that sometimes gets dinged on audits. If you're just checking the child, you have to specify how you communicated with the caregiver. So if you please remember to select the child and whichever caregiver you communicated with. If there was nobody to communicate with for whatever reason, you document how you did that. I recommend to the therapists that start that they figure out if it's a daycare baby, how they're going to communicate regularly with the parent, because they'll ask you, okay, it's great you spoke to the teacher, but when did you speak with the parent? And they'll ask, what did you, sometimes you can decide you're going to email or text. Make sure you have those text or email consents at the very beginning when you start working with the child. So it's never something like, oops, we messed up. We're going to rediscuss some of these things when we talk about other highlights for audit as well. But it makes sense here, so I'm just touching on it now. IFSP outcomes. So something that people have done in the past is just select all the goals and pop them in that goal section. That's not correct, right? We need to make sure we're only using the goals that we worked on during the session. So you can't put all, 4 goals, because now with the EI Hub, you're going to see a lot more concise goals and you're going to see a lot more discipline specific goals, but you can still, as an interventionist, work on all those goals using your amazing creative skills, and you can still select if it's an SI goal, if you're a PT or whatever, going down the stairs. Oh, I'm not a PT. I'm not going to do down the stairs, but maybe it's a gravitational insecurity thing. Maybe it's a behavioral thing. So maybe it's something else that anybody else can work on, because that's what the parent is concerned about. So we are interventionists, and you're going to see these like discipline specific goals again, but please don't be hesitant to add all of the goals so that you are able to work on them.
Sorry, a quick question.
Yes.
Is this form, or whatever you call it, will be available for us
Always
all
available.
gonna have access?
Everything that you see today will be always available. The resources are linked. This training will be in the document library. You will have full access to everything. You can look it up on the EI website. Nothing is locked. Everything is for your observation. So I like to, give you bits and pieces, but the full makeup policy is for you to read on your own. We're not going to read the whole thing. We'll give you the highlights.
Thank you.
Doing the session notes and progress notes. I'm not going to go through every single thing piece by piece, but I'm going to give you where to go because I want you to know everything. I'm going to give you the highlights. Okay. So ongoing discussions, just remember ongoing discussions with the parent, you're continuing to update. So some of the questions that we've gotten or during audit we've seen is that they're working on goals that weren't in the IFSP and they're not documenting why. So you have to make sure if you're working on goals because maybe the IFSP is outdated or the goals are not appropriate for the child anymore, you have to put why you're working on goals that aren't documented. Remember, the IFSP is a legal document, so you can't just work on anything or rewrite the goals how you think they should be written. It comes copy and pasted direct from the IFSP. Okay. So that's some things that we've been seeing that have been a little bit of a red flag or a big red flag. You can't shorten it. It needs to be exactly what's written. Okay. Describe what happened to today's session, the progress made towards IFSP outcomes, include the routine activity and strategies. You see, this is underlined. This is a huge thing because sometimes you're seeing these kids 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week, and it's repetitive. You still need to put in what routine activities and the strategies used during the session. So we did this. So for meal times or bath time, we focused on pincer for, feeding during mealtime, feeding using Cheerios with thumb pad and an index, or, we'll give you some other examples as well. If this is a child's first session, you document the observations and assessment of the child's status and functioning, describe the strengths and areas that need support. And I also like to go over the do's and don'ts at your first session, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So there's I said we were going to talk about, I think the PowerPoint doesn't go over it, but I'll show you the tips guide and We have tips to get you started, tips for your first session, and I can show you where to find that, and we can also go through that as well. In the first session, you also want to make sure that parent is agreeable to the IFSP goals, and that's where you still are going to focus on. So you're also going to make sure in this point that you're going to give parent feedback and include the parent feedback and how they incorporated the strategies, return demonstration, or perhaps needed some cues to help, but how they incorporated the strategies between sessions. So what routine activity that was covered during the session, this is specific. So now this is very new to be more we should say the best practice. We want to use the routine activity that was covered during the session and the strategies. Here's some examples and here's some specifics. So you will have access to this document. And I want you to make sure that you go over this so that you're using the embedded coaching language and the language that's required right now, strategies and routine activities. Those are things not, try to make sure that you're also using the embedded coaching model, even mentioning it. Using the embedded coaching model, parents was able to demonstrate blah, blah, blah with the child during bathing routine or something like that. I know I'm talking fast, so if anybody needs to say slow down, I'll definitely slow down. You do have access to this. This is not under lock and key. You can even just Google it and it'll pop up. EI session note for New York City. So we also have, let's see, they have a little bit more information. This is just an infographic. How did you work with the parent caregiver? You still have to check all of these ways that you did it. It gives you some techniques to utilize. There's a lot of, and this is not limited to this, but this is just some techniques and tips, right? This is right from BEI. What strategies or activities did you, the parent or caregiver, collaboratively agree to? So collaboratively agree to also should be used in your language as well, because that's the embedded coaching model, right? And we want to make sure that parents are on board with this. And if they also say like, oh, this didn't work, document that. Don't take it to heart. Okay, well, why not? And how can we fix it? How can we make it happen? Right? So let's see what else. Again, I'm just skimming. Again, more examples. They have great examples. Parent caregiver signature date in relationship to child. So you can see here the interventionist, let's see, family activity sheet is available to help support the parent caregiver in learning activities until the next session. It's also available here. Information for families. If you ever go to the website, there are tons of printable, downloadable resources. There's tons of information for you. So you can always go to the website for anything, basically. And we also can answer your question as well. But if something doesn't make sense and you need to go to the horse's mouth, that's the horse's mouth, right? So that's the Department of Health EI websites. Let me see, back to our PowerPoint. So that was the session note instructions from BEI. So also session notes are provided if they're provided in daycare. This I just updated this. So I'm sorry, this is also repetitive because I went, let's see, let's go sample session note. I got to take out that one. I just updated it. So this is a sample session note. Let me increase the size so we can see it. Oops, that's a little too big. Let's see, I think 125 is good. So you can see here how an example is. Here, you can also add more information. You should add more information.
Yeah, it's not required though. That's important. Like if other is left blank, it's okay. You
Mhm.
don't get dinged on that.
No.
But you have to check the right boxes in section 3.
Mhm. Um, and then what strategies did you, the parent caregiver, collaboratively agree to? So again, collaboratively agree to is the biggie. Okay. So this is a good example. Again, you see this little checkbox. You see where it's all signed. Second, that's the confirmation of service log, right? Perfect. And so there's some really exciting information. The progress note requirements as of tomorrow, there's a new regulation. Progress reports must be completed at the 6 and 12-month intervals after the child's initial IFSP meeting. So the progress notes must be submitted 3 weeks prior to IFSP review. This is an area we are getting dinged a lot on. We are not getting progress notes in. I know everybody has a hard time. It's not Yana's fault or Yana's job. We do that to make your life easier. But as the provider, as a licensed professional, it is your job, or certified professional, it is your job to keep track of when documents are required. This can hold up children's services. They can also lose services. I know some EIDs that if they don't get a progress note, they'll actually cut services. So it's really important that you get the progress notes in on time. And that means 3 weeks prior, so we can get it in the system. And then the 6 and 12-month intervals. What does that mean, guys? That means only 2 reports a year starting tomorrow. So anything up till tomorrow, you still have to do it the old way. But as of tomorrow on, if you have any progress reports due, only a 6-month and a 12-month interval report is due. Okay. Is that exciting? I think it is. Oh,
Yeah,
yay.
finally.
So that's 2 streamline areas. The populate a note streamlines, takes a page out, then 2 less reports that you need to do starting as of tomorrow. Again, as of tomorrow. Please take note. So progress notes. If you're new to competent care, you can call your supervisor prior to completing your first progress note to go over the below steps. So we are completing progress notes also through ProviderSoft. I'm going to pop back to the agenda soon once we go through this to make sure I get through everything. So I probably have missed a few things, but I'm just going to get through the PowerPoint and pop back to the agenda. Okay. So not to worry. I'm sure everyone's like, I have a ton of questions. Okay. And we'll have time for that. So you want to complete your progress note through ProviderSoft, log into ProviderSoft and go to the documents section. You want to go to forms, form group, choose provider. I can show this probably. I can show it through the test, right? I think I can. So
Yes,
if we
you
go
can.
to forms and then you can choose yourself and choose. So it's not updated yet in ProviderSoft because it doesn't start until tomorrow. So if you're seeing 36912 at the top of your progress note, that's an old note and it's not
Why don't
updated.
you look at it and see if they updated it? I didn't get the email,
Oh,
so I don't think they did.
okay.
But
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I don't even remember if it's test. Is it the
I
last?
don't remember if the
Open source
test is it.
or?
There you go. You got it.
Okay. So again, it's not download form, that's printing a blank form. You want to edit form so you can save it and continue working on it. Oop, oop, this means it,
Yeah.
oh,
I,
they
I
did
don't,
it.
maybe. I think it did.
Yep, it
This
is.
is
So
the
it's a
new
6
one.
or a 12 or amendment. They probably just need to shift things over, but they're always working on it. ProviderSoft is always, going down and working on everything late at night when nobody should be up on it. So this is the progress report. And again, they have a progress report document similar to the session note document that will also be available to you as well. There are all of these different things. So instead of functional outcomes or instead of objectives, you will have developmental steps. So note the difference in language used here. Outcomes and developmental steps versus objectives. So if you are, I know it's going to be hard to change the language, but if you are communicating with somebody about it, please try to remember the updated language that we should be using. Okay. What was the outcome and related developmental steps identified? List the IFSP outcomes that you did not address in the service authorization period and explain why. So this is a good question for those of you that the kid is, it's an older IFSP, the kid is running and it's about crawling or something like that. Child's developmental level was above as at initial initial initial
IFSP,
session. I'm sorry.
session.
It's been a long day, guys. My tongue tied. I apologize. So describe the learning activities, techniques, and strategies. This all gets filled in by the number and the letter related to these developmental steps. Okay. So we have what changes were made to the learning activities. And this, you can go back to your notes. What did I do? What did I do differently? What did I incorporate? Strategies, methods, routine activities, coaching. Describe all the collaborative efforts made to address the IFSP outcomes. So this is also something that they need to see. If you put an NA here, that means you didn't collaborate. So that's not considered embedded coaching. You collaborated with any of these people included here, and anybody else that you feel that you worked with. If you didn't collaborate and you put NA, that's a huge red flag. Based on your ongoing assessment of the child, what is the overall progress? So we know what this means. How was progress determined? In New York City, we don't require standardized testing, but if you are doing that, you can include the standardized testing results here. But again, in New York City, if you work in other places like Nassau, Suffolk, Rockland, it's different everywhere. So we don't require standardized assessments. What skills will you be working on in the next 6 months? So if you have any updated goals that you want to add here, that's when it can be added to the IFSP, right? And just a hint, when you're sending in progress notes, Yana doesn't read them for you. We do read them, but we don't specifically check if you're adding new goals. I ask my providers to highlight when there's a progress note ready. Yana, please let the service coordinator know there's new goals, because sometimes you'll have an old IFSP and never get updated because the service coordinator didn't read for new goals. So then Yana can say, hi, service coordinator, please note new goals are added, or a new justification for increase or justification for assistive tech device or something like that, because they're not going to read all of that, right? So when you email Yana, if there's some big changes that you made to the child's plan or recommendations you made, please just highlight it in your email. Progress note is complete. Please note I updated the goals. Please let the service coordinator know.
So this is the new form starting tomorrow?
The new form is tomorrow, but if you have kiddos that have progress reports, so Deb, they can't do the old progress note. Okay.
We have I have a format that I can use for the old version that I can still use that.
Yeah. So anything before October 15th, use the old form. Unfortunately, we're not housing it in ProviderSoft, but please, once you do this, you can save as draft. And when you save it as draft, where does it go? Does anybody know? Where does it save as draft?
The draft.
Yeah, in
in
your
the
form
documents.
draft,
In the
not in your
documents you
session
have,
drafts.
in
People
the
are
documents.
in your documents, right? If you're done with it, you send to admin and boom, you don't have to download it. You don't have to PDF it. You don't have to copy paste something or other. Just send to admin. Boom. Yana, progress note is in.
For like the next one, the 6, and then you want to do the 12 and use this format. Where do I go?
the
You
document.
want to use you want to
Yeah,
use
like
you
correct
use it as
other
a
on it.
template, like all over again, right? You want to
Yeah,
kind of just change it up. You
yeah.
can download it yourself. Once you save it as draft, you sign it, mom signs it, you send to admin. You could still, once it sends to admin, what we do, admin, is we take the note and we file it under the child's documents. So if you go to your cases, you know where to find your child's documents
Mm-hmm.
in ProviderSoft, right? You go to your cases, you click on the little paper clip all the way to the right, and that's where the child's documents are housed. That's where all the IFSPs
Right,
are going to be.
okay.
That's where your progress note is going to be that you
This
did.
is the final progress note. This is not your draft progress note that you're working on.
No,
Right.
Okay.
This is the
yeah,
one
we're
you
gonna
sent
use
to
that
admin.
draft. I want to use that draft.
So if you want to use that draft, you
For
go
the
to your
12.
documents and your form drafts are here. So even if you're working on a code of consent form, if you're working on a gap or a interruption of service form, if you're working on anything, you can save any forms that you're working on, you can save them here. And then you can send it, to admin and we'll file it for you. Just let Yana know, sometimes they linger there and it's a big inbox to file through. So if this is an urgent request, it's great to let her know and CC your supervisor. So that we know it's in there, we can review it for QA and then send it along.
I guess when you send to admin, it doesn't go in the draft anymore because it's a final.
No, it goes right to the filing
Start
box.
over, kind of like
You
start
file
over.
it. So you can then, once it goes to the send to admin, it goes to the filing area and you just say, hey, Yana, progress note for the EI number is there, or 6-month progress report is complete, please confirm receipt or something. And then she'll know that it's there and she's ready to send it, put it in the EI hub, and it's ready for review by the SC and EIOD. Okay.
Can you go back to form drafts for a second, Stacy Lynn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you're in form drafts, no, your drafts, not that.
This
Just
one,
your
the form
drafts.
draft. Yep.
So you see where on the top it says form name, form parameters, creation date, date sent to admin, and signature status. The date sent, your document does not go away. It's going to stay in your documents, in your form drafts. It'll stay there even after you send it to admin. Once you send it to admin, you'll know that you sent it to admin because it's going to pre-fill with the date and the time that you sent it to admin box. So that proves that you sent it to Yana, for example, but you still have access to your form draft. It never goes away. It's there for you if you want to use it for your next progress report, right? You want to use some of that information over again. You can certainly do that by
And
just
like
going here.
change the something and just like, like
Yeah.
use that as a guide for your next report.
Yeah. The only way your form drafts are going to go away once you send them to admin is if you click the little red X over there,
And that
all the way to the right. Then it's going
Mhm.
away forever. You sent it to admin. Maybe you're the kind of person that doesn't want to see 2,000 documents in your drafts. Once you send it to admin, you just want to delete it. You can do
So
that
the
too.
pencil is always for editing and the X is
Yes.
for deleting, right? And so
Yes.
some of these things that need signatures, you can do the request signature even in your forms draft. So, so for code of consents, you can request signature through here as well. So you can set up, you could set it up in here. Okay.
Another question, please. Developmental steps, do they populate?
So you still have to do the same thing. So you have to download the goals, copy and paste. So this takes the longest, right? When you go through the goals, so if you want to add a goal, right? You copy and paste from the IFSP. I'll do this quickly.
I mean, you did that for the notes. You still have to do it separately for the reports.
You have, I believe it pre-populates with
It
all the
should
goals.
If you enter it, yeah, if you enter
If
it
you
for
enter it
the goals,
individually, right?
yes.
It
So
should
we'll
pre-populate, no?
Yeah, in your session notes and in your progress reports.
Okay, that makes it much easier.
Yeah. So that's why I'm seeing like some of the notes I see the session notes and progress reports, and then I see the IFSP and all the goals are written differently. They
Well,
need to be exactly the same. Copy, paste, copy, paste.
I
Even
add
if there's
some,
misspellings.
I add some new goals because the old goals just doesn't work for the current skill level. So I add new goals in those boxes. Is that okay?
So you have to make sure that you're documenting maybe in the child's document
Information.
in the child information page, say parent requested and agreed upon new goals will include in the next progress report. And then you have to put in that progress report section what goals were
Added.
where there
I'm
was
gonna
like
call you separately so I can explain to you better.
yeah, no, I know what you mean. You work on different goals, but you have to explain it in the progress report and in the child basic information page.
Okay.
Because we can't be like, well, what are these goals? Where did they come from? Oh, they just came from me. I'm a PT, I'm a clinician, and I know what I'm doing. No, parent requested this. The goals were not appropriate in IFSP. It has to be documented, right? Okay. Um, and then in the progress report, you have to put in why you added, you worked on goals that weren't included in the IFSP, that section I was talking about.
Progress report. Okay.
And so now the progress report is 6 and 12 months. There's a larger gap. So it's not just 3 months that you're using this goal that you made up and you have no documentation. That's why it's really important that you put in the child basic information page, new goal based on parent request. Or, I believe that's what my recommendation is, Heather. I don't know if you have another recommendation on how to manage that.
No, I think that's a good recommendation as long as you're always adding it to the developmental steps and you're putting the reason why
Mm-hmm.
that it was
Mm-hmm.
added, that it wasn't from the initial IFSP, that you're adding it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
And
if you don't mind, Stacy, could you click on Test Brooklyn? Because
yep.
I always find a lot of providers don't even know where the basic information page is.
Yep, it's
So
right on down
I
here.
want them just to know that it's here
Mm-hmm.
and it's their
So,
basic information. And it's also where you can document your own notes because you're not a service coordinator, but as a clinician, you can document anything you feel you need to document right here.
We have a question also about the amendment area next to the 6 and the 12 month on the progress report.
Mm-hmm. So there's oftentimes they have an amendment, like a change. So that's if they're adding a new service or adding assistive tech and they're having a meeting or they need to change something. Maybe they change the child's legal name. Maybe they change services. They had a change, they increased services or decreased services, and there was an amendment to the IFSP. That would be, it's a meeting, and you can definitely change goals then too.
Is that the question?
Does that answer the question?
The question was to mention the area and would this be any changes within the specific IFSP?
Any changes within the specific IFSP? Maybe I'm not understanding. So you wouldn't click. Oh, maybe.
Stacy, hi.
Yeah.
Actually, it was my question. Is you
Sure.
answered it. You answered any changes within that specific ISP before
Okay.
they have another meeting.
Okay.
You hear me?
Okay.
So you did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I think they were talking about that 612 and amendment at the top. You were asked that, right? Okay, cool. So if there's an amendment meeting based on a change, then it would be a click amendment. And sometimes you'll get a service coordinator that'll say, hey, I need a new progress report for the amendment. The amendment is for an increase in speech or for an assistive tech or for new goals that are more appropriate. And so then you'll click amendment. Maybe it's at the 4-month or the 3-month or the 7-month mark, right? Okay.
That's something new that we will still see in the future, like how that will translate
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it goes down because I don't know how often they'll
see.
be able to have those meetings, right? But I think they're just managing like not to have so much not so much documentation because there are so many issues with the progress reports not coming in on time.
But this looks
Like,
longer to me.
what's that?
This report it looks longer, like has a lot more entries.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, maybe it is a little bit more
But it's only two
detailed. Yeah, it's only
in a
two,
year,
right?
so that's
It's only twice a year, right?
Yep, and if it's in ProviderSoft, you have all that information to copy, paste, adjust, and use however you wish, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so again, basic child information page, anything non-clinical or session related, then you can go ahead and, or collaborative, maybe like spoke to the PT, spoke to the OT, spoke to the teacher about something. If it's something out of the ordinary, especially interdisciplinary communication or any issues that might have prevented services for a while that we don't see, that sort of thing. So maybe it is a
Wider note.
provider note ad. So you want to tag it as well, because we can always filter it to see what we're looking for, just to make sure if somebody calls and says, oh, you know, I see, or they come and audit it. Oh, they discussed fine motor goals with the parent. If the auditors are like, why are these goals different? Oh, they discussed it with the parent and the parent really wanted to work on fine motor and they weren't in the initial IFSP. So we will be requesting an amendment, you know, something like that. Okay, so let me close this. So that is that. Let's get back to what we have over here. Okay. So, we have when services, when the EI service, right, we talked about this progress reports, so no longer being provided. So these are some of the good resources for, the topics. So this is what it looks like. I don't know if you guys visit this, but you know, it has tons and tons of resources for families, for providers. You can go in there, developmental monitoring. There's a ton of information. You can do the whole handbook. I think we also have it in the doc library. If you need to make a referral or tell a parent or a parent's friend how to make a referral. There's tons of things in other languages we see. And then again, this one, oopsie. Okay, so policies and procedures, forms, all the different forms that we have, assistive tech. This is from the DOH website, additional resources for families, assistive tech information, information for providers, tons and tons of information and resources. And obviously there's DOH and then New York City information as well. So, let me actually go back to the agenda to make sure I cover every nook and cranny that we feel like.
We didn't talk about audit too much
Yeah.
yet.
Yep. So I talked a lot about different audits that I've been through, but we recently had a few providers get audited for similar things or the same thing. So we really want to highlight a few things. And we have kind of a little quiz on on this. So let's see. Let's see. I'll hand it over to Deb so she can talk a little bit more.
Sure. So thank you, independent contractors. I was able to work with a few of you on your audits, and it helped me a lot because most of my experience came from the state of Connecticut and Westchester County. And New York City is just a whole different animal. So I really appreciated working with the three independent contractors I know of that were audited, and I helped them out and vice versa. But some of the things that were common um, among the three of them were every single one was asked the question, what is the solution to sanitized toys?
Oh, sorry.
And no one got the answer right. So we figured we would
And what
ask
I said with
throw it
embedded
out there.
coaching, you shouldn't be, you know, you shouldn't be using their toys, but you still have to know
So,
the solution if there's any,
Can I say
bacteria.
something on that?
sure.
When I was audited, for sure, I was asked that question. But before I was asked that question, I clearly stated that I don't bring my toys into the home and I use only their toys.
Oh,
Mhm.
awesome.
So then for them to ask me what the solution is, which is 1 tablespoon to a gallon of water, made absolutely no sense. Because
Mm-hmm.
if I don't bring my toys into the home, who cares what the ratio is? Do I need to know minutia? That's minutia because it's not relevant to anything that I'm doing. And I stated that concern as well. That was a dumb question.
And I totally get it. And
Everyone
I
got
would
it.
think that it was negated too. We just have to know it as independent contractors because there might be things that you never use, but because you're an independent contractor or you're just a clinician, you're required to know the things in the handbook. That's why we have it available. It's always available for you to know if you get these
Который
questions.
работает там,
But then I
она
shouldn't
не
feel
работает с ним. Она просто берет его в другой
Is
класс,
somebody
оставляет его, и она
somebody
занимается
is
своими делами, и все. Я ни на что не
Eleanor.
ответствую.
Eleanor, can you?
Yeah,
then they shouldn't penalize you. Like, okay, they can ask you whatever's in the handbook, but it's absolutely ridiculous to think that you're going to remember every single thing. If it pertains to what you actually do, then
Yeah.
it makes sense, and you should penalize a person if they don't know it. But
It's
if it,
basically a checklist for audit. They have to ask these questions.
yeah,
Health and safety is huge. Just like if you work in a hospital, pain scale, like certain things are just always used. If you get blood on your hands, what do you have to do? Like you just have to know regardless. So it is annoying, even if you're using the embedded coaching model to the nth degree and you don't ever carry toys with you. You have to know how to clean blood, boogies, HIV, whatever, how to manage these sort of things. So we have the health and safety protocols here. Deb, continue with the audit.
Yeah, another big
information.
thing was everyone on this call should be subscribed to BEI, right? The Bureau of Early Intervention. So all the emails that I get about changes to policy and procedure, it's important that everyone hears it right from the horse's mouth, right? I do send out the policies I don't send it out to like all of you on this call, but I'll send it out to the people that it pertains to, right? So when you do get an email from me, I try to really limit it to things that are super important, like the progress note, like, the note changing, and some of the changes. So I strongly suggest everyone subscribe to the Bureau of Early Intervention website. Their email listserv, it's here. If you keep scrolling down or go to For Providers, scroll down, scroll up a little. If you go to see where it says service providers all the way to the left, Stacy?
Yeah, here.
Yeah, click on that. And if you scroll down, I believe there is the instructions on how to subscribe to the website.
The thing is that you're going to have to subscribe a million times, but you can always check this. Even if you don't subscribe, you can always check this. So if somebody says, oh, one of my other agencies told me this, you can always look here for FAQs and updates. They always have the updates and FAQs here and the other website that I was telling you as well. I forget
That
where.
was huge. And another thing that was huge was email consent for collecting signatures or communicating with parents via email. Everyone on this call should not rely on your service coordinator to get those for them to be specific, because those email consents need to
For
be
you. Yeah,
person specific.
I know, but
And you know how often providers change, right? Parents change providers all the time. So you should be getting those email consents yourself from the parent. It's very easy to do. If you go back to ProviderSoft, like everything else, you can get it electronically, signature, go to, again, documents, forms, provider, consents, somewhere on there. Consent for email is there somewhere.
it's all the way down, I think.
There it
Consent
is. BEI
email.
telehealth BEI telehealth consent. Oh, that's telehealth consent. That's different.
Yep, down
Consent
here
to
at the
use
bottom,
email
both
right
of
there.
them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, consent to use email right there in English and
And the
Spanish.
English and Spanish, yeah.
And it'll pre-populate for you and then just request signature from family the way we showed you how to do. Right?
There was also a text one, I thought. No.
It's only email. I think
Okay.
it's email and text. They combined it. There's not a
Okay.
separate one
Got
anymore.
it. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I mean, I know when everybody came for like the OTs, I always said like the first session to get like your checklist is like get the text and email consent, even if they don't ever want to use it. It's just in case. It's just so that you have it. Because oftentimes they'll be like, oh, hey, I can't talk. Can you just, I want to email you something. Can you email me or text me or something? And then you get caught in, oh, hey, I texted this person and it's true, and it was audited or something. So you want to make sure that
Is it too late to do that now if we don't have it on the web?
no, do it. Do it now. It's never too late. Just get it done and we can always update and
Okay.
just make sure it's in there, you know.
Yeah.
And because we're having this training too, now we know, right? So
Backdated.
what's that?
No, I just saw a response from Dora
Yeah.
about, yeah.
So we talked about, okay, so basic health and safety, this link here, you can see all the guidelines. Appendix D is where you go for the solution, but there are tons, I'm telling you, tons of information here for basic health and safety that you can familiarize yourself with. Mandated reporter. We are all mandated reporters, how to report anonymously or not anonymously, communicable diseases. There's tons of different things, what to do in what kind of situations. So please, familiarize yourself with the guidance document for health and safety standards.
What's the website again?
I put it in as a link, but if you just Google health
Mhm.
and safety for early intervention in New York, it'll come right up. And I'm not sure, did we put this in the document library as well?
We have Competent Care's health and safety protocol, which follows this, but this is probably safer than
Yeah. And
I'm updating mine based on this because this is updated and the one that we have in the document library currently is not as updated. I'm
okay.
working on that.
Yeah.
Again, thank you to the people who were audited because that showed me that I needed to update our competent care policies.
Okay. All right. So communication and documentation. I talked about this a ton, but clinical language and documentation standards. We want to align the goals of treatment and embedded coaching. I wanted to go over the tips and tricks, as well as some of the documents we have to get started. We can go to ProviderSoft. It is a very helpful tool. Do we have it? Guide for, see, they have the EI manual is here. Where is it? Tips and tricks. No. Do we have the tips to get started or no? Heather, do we put it on here or?
We have that on the responsibilities and best practices document.
Is that in here? Did I remember to put it up? There's your who's who of competent care. Keep going up, Stacy.
Am I not seeing it?
Doctor survey,
Oh, who's
EIP.
who? This is who to contact for what, right? I know I added
Right.
for what in my thing, but where is it not here? I know Heather,
Keep
you
scrolling up.
emailed it to me. I can show you the updated tips guide. Let me see. See if I can find it. I'm going to stop sharing briefly. If anybody wants to talk about it while I look, why is my screen not on? That's so bizarre.
Who's 148592, by the way?
148592? Is that
I just saw an iPhone with a number on it. So I
Oh,
wanted
and
to
this
make sure that
iPhone
we knew who
also
that
doesn't.
person was or that person signed in, because we won't know who you are.
Yeah, just put your name. You can change your name. It's pretty easy. But please keep your camera on. I'm so sorry. I didn't even turn my camera off for that point. I didn't know. I apologize. Okay, so I'm gonna find the tips guide that I was talking about and we'll get that responsibilities, health and safety. I'm trying. Oh, and you saw here you can find the park and outdoor survey if you're gonna take a kiddo outside. Let me find if there's anything that anybody wants to ask while I'm looking for this, you can go right ahead. I'm just searching for
Responsibilities and best practices, right?
yeah. Updated documents. Okay. Here we are. Okay. I footage. I got it. And I will be sharing it in just a moment.
And then
How are we doing on questions in the chat, Heather?
We have one question about being audited. If we can explain a little bit more, what happens if you get audited? Can you fail an audit?
Okay. I can probably talk about that a little bit. So first of all,
Okay.
if you're only going to get audited if you're an independent contractor as opposed to an employee. As an employee, we get audited for you. So, so what was
Okay.
the question exactly, Heather?
And focus it.
What happens with an audit if a provider is audited? What happens? Can they fail the audit? I think
That,
just a little basic information about.
yeah, so that it happens. Their auditor's job is to find things that are wrong with whatever you have. So, when you fail an audit, or they call them findings, you have to submit a corrective action plan and they give you instructions on how to do that and they give you an attachment and you have to complete it. And basically it says you're going to fix this finding by doing this. Sometimes you have to, depending on what the finding is, you have to rewrite a policy. Sometimes you don't have to rewrite a policy. You just have to explain why. Sometimes if you're missing session notes, they're going to want you to probably produce those session notes. I'm not sure. Angela, maybe you can answer that. I know that we always have the session notes in ProviderSoft. Always, always, always. So if you ask, just ask and I can send any attachments that you need for any audit. But basically you answer their corrective action plan. And if you answer it well, then that's it. So all you
Mm-hmm.
have to do is submit it and you're done.
Okay. Do you guys see my screen? I have the tips guide up. And tips to get you started before your first case. We've combined a bunch of best practice information. If you've been on this training before, we've talked all about these items. So therapist's old model is, bringing your toy, like, with your bag full of fun toys and then leaving. Now we want to make sure that we're working within the child, what they have at home, school, or daycare in their natural environment, within their routine activities, incorporating any relevant goals to the parent's current concern. Therefore, upload all goals from all disciplines, what we talked about. Some helpful items for your in-person toolkit could be sanitizer, wipes for hands and toys, not for the child, tissues, socks for you if you need to remove your shoes and you're barefoot, gloves if needed for bodily fluids, an extra charger for your device. I hear a lot of people with tech issues because it went down, so their dates and times don't match. Please bring a charger. Your contact info for families or a handout or a card. And then although toys aren't recommended, children should be seen in their natural environment. I've suggested here some toys appropriate for this age population. I'm sure you all know a billion other ones, but this is as if we're just getting started, right? So here we have just some recommendations. And you should always check, there is a recall list before giving any recommendations. There's a lot of people who say those water beads, like parents get the water beads, but those are hugely, hugely prohibited. So, I'm not sure if people are aware, but they are not recommended at all. They are a choking hazard. They expand. Kids end up in the hospital and often and die. So it's pretty serious. OT and PT only. Once your EMR training has been complete, we watch video, we upload the goals, we submit a test note, and we schedule time with me to review any questions. When you accept cases, I know that, Kalita will, or Lita will always reach out. I know some of you have an awesome, connection with her, but some of the newer providers, make sure you're communicating because we market specifically for you. And I'm going to talk about how we market for you. But she markets specifically for you and she's excellent at what she does. So please make sure that you're updating your skills, your locations, because we reach out to people that we know are in those locations. The service coordinators, EIODs, we have a new provider in this location. Now they've moved to this location. We have a new person who now, speaks another language, or we have a new person that's, certified in vision or lactation or something. Sometimes there's like extra, skills that you acquire. Those are always helpful to share because parents are looking for specific things. When you receive your case, you want to inform the person, reply all who sent you the case from staffing that you're interested and will contact the parent. This should happen as soon as possible because just as you're getting it, other people are also getting the case. So we want to make sure you snap it up, meaning other agencies. So although we market specifically for you, if you're taking 24, 48 hours to get back to us and not same day, often we can lose the case immediately. Email, call parents, introduce yourself, come up with a schedule for the session that works for you and parents, and let Lita know that you've confirmed the schedule with those parents and that you're accepting the case. Don't start any cases until Yana informs you that you're authorized to begin. Telehealth cases are in high demand from a lot of telehealth providers, but parents are flexible and can do both in person and telehealth, or now you can do both. Let us know if anything changes. Once Yana emails you that your new case is in ProviderSoft, you will receive an email for Yana for the start date of services, and do not start until you receive this email. I'm saying it a million times because we have had billing issues. We cannot bill for services if it's not within the authorization period. So if you start a day before it's authorized or a week before it's authorized, make sure you're paying attention to the authorization date. We've had providers start and not pay attention to that. So please make sure that you do pay attention to that. She'll send you this. Speech therapists have a speech authorization form prior to beginning services. You have to make sure and sign the speech authorization form for speech therapists only. Please call parents to schedule the first session. Document any issues reaching the parent in ProviderSoft and note it under the basic child information tab where I showed you where you scroll down and you put it in there. And reach out to your supervisor and the service coordinator. It's not mentioned here, but and the service coordinator, because service coordinators are your middleman between the parent and you. So it's really helpful to also reach out to the service coordinator. And if you maintain a good relationship with the service coordinator, they'll often come to you and say, hey, can you take this case? And they're also a good marketing tool to advocate for services. So in whichever area, or letting them know. So it's good to have a good communication with the service coordinator, whether they work for Competent Care or they don't. And let them know if you have issues reaching the parent, because parents will complain about us and then we'll say, oh, we don't have any notes in there, so you're not reaching out, So if it's not documented, it didn't happen. Well, I called the parent 3 times, I texted them twice, there's no response. Well, that's not anywhere that we would know about. So please document all your efforts. Deb, did you want to say something?
Nope.
Oh,
I'm just looking at the time. It's 10:02. And I
yep.
know this is,
Till 10:30. Yep.
Mhm.
Preparation before your first session, review the IFSP and functional outcomes. You want to copy all, right? And if you need a refresher on how to copy them, reach out to your supervisor and schedule some time. We also have some resources in the doc library on how to upload those goals. For telecases only, you want to make an account using a HIPAA compliant platform and obtain a BAA and email to the supervisor and director. If you have questions, reach out to your supervisor. Accepted platforms are listed here. And OTPT and CODAs. So we have this information here. Most of my providers, they should know this already, so I'm not going to go into it because we have tons of different disciplines here.
Quick
CODA is
question, what is
definitely
quota?
CODA is a certified occupational therapy assistant, and they work autonomously, but they work legally with a supervisor. So the supervisor can be off-site, but they are certified professionals as well.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. CODA needs to obtain a CODA consent and acquire 2 parent signatures, the consent form and the session note, and then obviously the confirmation of service log on your first session. Okay. You need to have the consent form before moving forward with services. On the day, that's another thing we get audited for is no consent form. So make sure we have those. So the day you begin your cases, you should know all of this information. You can review it. Again, we'll have it uploaded for you. When writing emails, please make sure that you're not putting the child's name or other identifying information. Use the EI number, please. Session notes and important documents. So submitting session notes, we talked about this already. In-person and
This needs to be
telehealth.
updated because the codes are not updated. So
I
please
see.
ignore the codes, guys. CPT codes are wrong on here.
Okay, so we'll change that. We'll update that. Missed sessions, we talked about that as well. You must fill out all parts of it. You can review that in the PowerPoint as well as the session note. Makeups, please. How do you guys offer makeup sessions? What are some ways that we do this? Does anybody have a great way? I know some of our providers are excellent at doing makeup sessions. Any tips and tricks? I can also jump in. Okay, for the essence of time. So makeups, you want to say if a parent cancels or you're canceling, hey, I'm canceling. Let's schedule the next time. How about we do a makeup on this date? So suggest the makeup time as soon as the cancellation occurs is a really good way to ensure makeups are being done. Parent cancels via text, via whatever. Okay, great. When would you like to do a makeup? I have this and this available. Which would you prefer? Or if time permits, let me know another time and I'll try to make myself available. Or if they're in person, would you get a telehealth consent and you can do it via telehealth if that's an option. So there are some good ways of doing it, but try to do it at the time of cancellation so that you can confirm consistency with the child and meeting the mandate. So meeting the mandate is also an area that we get audited on. So if a child is being seen 3 times a week, you need to have documentation session notes for 3 times a week. So whether it's a cancellation, you need a missed session note and 2 attended, or a missed, a makeup and 2 attended, still 3 times a week, right? But you still need to make sure you're documenting all missed sessions. There are several therapists that are not documenting missed sessions. That is going to be a huge issue during audit. You're going to have to start writing millions of missed sessions to cover the mandate. So please make sure you're doing, okay, missed session, write the date, make sure within 2 weeks of makeup, scheduled makeup, but make sure you're writing your missed session note. Okay.
And just a little help with that when you're doing that electronically, guys. Every box that you saw that was highlighted in red when we showed you the session note template, they're required boxes. So for missed session, obviously you're not going to be putting anything in there, but it
Mhm.
won't let you submit it then. So just put a period of what
I
any
usually put NA so people know, like I recommend putting NA just because the
so the
period,
red box is filled
yeah,
in,
yeah,
and then it could be posted. Your missed session could be posted.
yeah, yeah. And I think there's an example of a makeup session in the document library as well. I put that in a few years back. What a makeup session note should look like. For
How
session
many
note,
hours, how many sessions you can make in a IFSP? 6 or like
typically it's 6, but in ProviderSoft, you'll have like a number, a countdown of how many are left in that authorization period. I'm not sure for SI or ABA if it's any different, but I
Not.
know is it? No?
No, it's the same.
Okay. So 6. Um, so the number of makeups is typically 6. Here, we have that here. All dates match. You guys know the session date, it auto populates to the day you prep your note. So make sure you're doing the note that you're rechecking that all your dates and times match. This we already talked about. So this is just a nice like all-in-one kind of tips and tricks guide. The EI week runs from Sunday to Saturday. We should all know that. Um, Gap or interruption of service form. These are also an area that we're a little bit lagging on. Gap is 3 missed sessions in a row. Interruption is anything that has that you know about, maybe a vacation or hospitalization, like longer hospitalization that they had a procedure scheduled. You have to let the service coordinator know, the case manager know, and you have to fill out these forms. Okay.
Just an
Um, mhm.
FYI, Stacy, I probably didn't mention it to you. The gap form is all we need. It's the same thing. You don't need the interruption service form and the gap form. You can just do a gap form for everything.
Oh, there's no more
So,
interruption of service form?
correct. It's an
Oh,
option. You don't need both. Just a
oh,
gap form is fine for everything.
really?
And if y'all don't have time, you want to just shoot Yana an email. Hey, I'm going to be away this week. She'll do the gap form for you.
I like it.
Okay,
But
no
try to do as
signatures
much as you
required,
can.
so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's like a few things that you have to fill out. But it did say before that it's required to let the service coordinator know.
Yes,
So
always.
that's definitely something. Weekly requirements, again, the full mandate is accounted for every session. Monthly requirement for billing. You have to get your billing in by the 5th of the month for no issues to be built. No issues with billing, no delays. You might put in billing for 3 months at a time. That doesn't mean you're going to get everything all in one shot. Please be sure that you're up to date with your monthly billing by the 5th of the month for the previous month in full to Marina, and her email is here. Okay. And this is how you do it. You take a screenshot of your sessions page and you can filter it to whatever month you're going for. Okay. The progress note requirements, 6 and 12, we talked about that. And then we talked about this progress notes here. Yearly requirements. So medical form. Do we know that we all need a medical form? 10 hours of professional development, which you're doing too today. Yoo-hoo. Sexual harassment training. You can see the link below. And independent contractors, you need your liability insurance updated whenever it expires. Also for your registration, you should have your registration updated. Some people call it license. It's not license, but OTs, PTs, and I believe speech and codas, we have to update every 3 years. So we need to send that in.
Can I
Justification.
just interrupt for a second? Because I just want to
Mhm.
go back
Yep.
quickly. and
Mhm.
say something about billing submission.
Yeah.
When you're using electronic billing with ProviderSoft, as you should, the right way to do it. You're in that home, you've got your laptop, you've got your iPad, you've got your iPhone, whatever you're using, it's instant. It's there. It happens that day. The provider signs it, the mother signs it, whether it's telehealth or in person. So when the system is used the way it should be used, there are no billing issues, right? So when we say once a month, billing is due the 5th of the month, I know I get a lot of pushback. Oh, pick Competent Care, we pay once a month. Why do I have to hand in billing any sooner than that? It's, every 2 weeks, we're a business. At the end of the day, we are a business, right? No margin, no mission, no money, no mission. We want to help as many children as we can, right? And for there to be like, from a business perspective, right? To not have the cash flow issues that a lot of businesses may have, because if you're waiting for 3 months to hand in billing, which by the way, for a lot of you guys here, we get that a lot. It's a huge strain, right? Because when you don't hand in your billing, we have no documentation that this child's been seen. We have no idea how this child is doing. 1 month, 2 month, 3 months behind. You're not getting paid. We're not getting paid, and we're totally out of compliance. So I'm just going. I know a lot of you are independent contractors. I get it. You have a habit of doing things a certain way, and I'm not criticizing anyone here. I'm just trying to help you understand that at the end of the day, we're a business. We need that documentation. It is so important to have that documentation there. It is so
And
important.
we can't
And it
tell the
not be a
auditors,
month
oh,
late, two
we'll
months
get it
late,
in
5 months
3 months.
late. It's like, yeah, it's just ask for help, please. No, don't be shy about asking for parent signature when you can't get it. Reach out to us. We are there to help. Galena's there to help. I know Galena, can be a little rough around the edges sometimes because English isn't her first language, but she presents that way sometimes, but it's really only about doing the best that she can to make sure that we're in compliance and our doors stay open so that we can help as many children as possible. That's what it's about. And of course we want you to get paid. I don't get you. I know you all want to get paid too. So it just, yeah, we're doing this because the most convenient and best way to document is by using the electronic version of ProviderSoft. And I get that some of you are not comfortable with it, and I understand that, but I am available every day, anytime for you guys to show you and teach you and walk you through how to do this the most efficient way.
And it really only takes like 15, 20 minutes. If you need to schedule any more time, we have Heather, we have myself. We're all here to help you guys because honestly, electronic is the way to go. It's super, super streamlined now. So hopefully, you can understand that. I just wanted to move through to important
Go for it.
reminders. Huh?
Go ahead. Yeah,
So
move through.
check new IFSPs for updated goals and update them on your child's goals. So if you get a new IFSP, make sure you're uploading the new goals into your session notes. So do that whole procedure. And if you don't know, reach out to your supervisor. We can help you upload those goals. Okay.
I have a question about this. I tried many times, but I didn't have a chance. And for some reason, my speaker was on. So about the IFSP, I want to make sure that I understand that. So not usually the objectives are being updated or
Developmental
changed.
steps. No. Refer to it
Go
as
ahead, Eleanor.
developmental steps, no more objectives.
Yeah, so they are being changed or updated only when the IFS when there's a new IFSB, or they can be changed. How it happens?
When
I want
there
to
is a
make
new
sure that I
IFSP,
understand.
you cannot just change them whenever you want to. the IFSP is a legal document. Everything comes from that document, okay? And so the goals as they are written should be written into your session notes and progress reports as they are written in the IFSP. There are specific areas where you put in if it's not, if it's not a goal that was in the IFSP, how come? So you have to document in the progress report why you're using other goals, as well as on a session note, why you're using the other goals, and document in.
So let me understand this. So no, I'm not trying to add and I'm not trying to change. I don't like to do this stuff.
Mhm.
But one thing that I want to know, which is I think you answered, but again, so basically whenever there's a new IFSP, this is the time when those objectives are being changed or modified or updated,
Correct.
right? That's
Correct.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
And
Yep.
if you didn't request a change, or no, the parent didn't request a change, or any other provider didn't request a change, the IFSP will carry over to the next IFSP more than likely. So if you didn't update those goals based on progress, then it's on you, basically, if you're carrying over the same goals as a provider. Or it's on the service coordinator if you let them know, hey, you didn't update the IFSP, and now we have another 6 months worth of goals unless we do an amendment, right? Okay.
So each
So
time,
Eleanor, here's a thing too, just for you, not just for you, but for some of the other, teachers that are out there. When the new IFSP comes, we are not necessarily administrators in the office are not necessarily, we're not going to automatically update the goals for you, for that child, for that new IFSP. We can't keep track of all of that.
Mhm.
If you know there are new goals and you need help with updating them so that they populate on an electronic session note, which I know I'm gonna get you to do, we will do that for you. But you have to
Or
let
we will
us
do that
know,
with
hey,
you.
there's a new
Actually,
annual. I need those
actually, I
goals
did it.
updated, Deborah. Please show me how to do that.
No,
Mhm.
actually, that's the reason that I asked it, because I have a child that it's not from competent care, and the child has on October 4th a new IFSP, and I'm like, wait, let me make sure if the IFSP was changed or not. And luckily, when I went to the child's document, like the way that Stacy showed before, where to find the child's document, I went there and I checked the dates of the
Yeah.
old IFSP and the new IFSP, and actually there were like a few changes. And
Mhm.
then I'm like, wait, I said, I need to ask this to you. I mean, I need to ask you this question. And she came up with this topic, and I said, you know what? That's the time to ask. But
Okay.
yes, you're right, Deborah. That's actually, I need to check this every time now from now
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
Yes, and just email me and
Mhm.
or come in or call me or whatever and
And you can
make
also,
sure.
if there's a lot of goals that haven't been changed, copy unmet goals, and it will copy all of the goals you already put in the initial IFSP. So if there's none, and that does happen sometimes. I mean, it happens more with, but I mean, it does happen that it's not, it's not updated, or you can add to it. But please be sure that you're updating the goals as needed and not just making up your own goals throughout the time that you're seeing the child.
right.
Um,
But
okay.
to make like just like for your head, like to remember, because sometimes you can't monitor everything. So
Yes.
when is a good time to check, like, oh, there's gonna be a new IFSP if the mom doesn't tell me that there's a
The
meeting,
mom's not going to tell you.
right?
So your
Go to the cases
authorization,
tab.
your
I
Isn't it under my
authorization.
cases? Don't you have the IFSP period right under my cases, Stacy Lynn, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Don't
but
providers see that?
you have to go in and then, sometimes
Mhm.
just quick look.
So you as the provider, you're
How do you do
responsible
it?
for the prescription being, you have to know like the prescription, the authorization, the end dates. It's on you as the provider. We help you. Case manager helps you. ProviderSoft helps you. But it is your duty as the provider, and you can check ProviderSoft. You could check the original email that you got from Yana. She has it there for you. Um, but it is on you because you have to know that you got a new IFSP to work with the child. So, you
So
know,
you just make a list, make checklist of all the.
I generally tell every provider once they get to make their own export to Excel, their children, their RX date, their mandate, their authorization dates, and their IFSP dates, or whatever. So you know when it's coming
Or
due.
like write in a book or something.
Yeah, because Yana gives you that right when you start. So if you put it in a Excel document, you can have it all in one page. That's just a recommendation. Allie?
I had a quick question. It's
Mhm.
about all of this, and like I have like a calendar, like
Uh-huh.
a little Bible that I carry around just to
Mhm.
jot things down. But in the app, is there any way in the app to find, because the app is different than the website,
Right.
right?
Correct.
So if you're on your phone, or like I made the big mistake of using both an iPad and my phone when I first started with Company Care because they don't sync. So then
Mm,
Yeah.
if you do one thing on the iPad and then you do something else on your phone, or you're interchanging them, like I brought the iPad so that when I do my notes on my phone, my baby can play a game or my baby can color or whatever. But it was a big problem because they don't sync up. And then some
mm.
notes are downloading and posting and some are not. And that was
You
an
know,
issue that I had about a year ago.
Allie, that is really important information for us to know because we often reach out to the help desk and we can get your answers for you if there's an ongoing issue. Heather, I don't know if you've had that issue. I know you're doing more with the app, and Heather, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
So I haven't run into that specific issue, but there is one thing that if you are using the web-based app on an iPad or on your phone, it looks different than the mobile app, the
Mhm.
ProviderSoft mobile app.
Mhm.
So Allie, are you using the ProviderSoft mobile app that you download?
Yes. On my,
Both?
well, actually, at that time, I don't do this anymore. I don't bring an iPad anymore. But when I downloaded the app on both the iPad and my phone, I downloaded it. I never went into ProviderSoft like the website.
Okay.
If I
Okay.
do that
Got it.
on my
You only
computer,
use the mobile app.
I
Mhm.
only use the app, yeah. And
Even to
I
write
go into
progress reports?
ProviderSoft. What's that?
Even to write reports and forms and things like that?
No, I do
Okay.
that on my computer, on my
Okay.
laptop when I go home at night.
Got
Yeah,
it.
I
Got
never
it.
do
Okay.
that. I don't bring my laptop to sessions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Got it.
So
Yeah,
just in
I'm
the essence
ABA
of
though.
time,
I'm
we have
ABA and a
5
psych, and
minutes.
my kids won't do that.
So Allie, if you have those questions, if you can email them to your supervisor, if you're still having issues and glitches, so that we can help walk you through it specifically for your needs, because we want you to use it and we want to know why you're not using it too. If you're not
No,
using,
Allie uses it all the time.
yeah,
Allie
Yeah,
uses the mobile app.
are
You're the
you
one
I
that
still
do.
told me
having
about the mobile app.
issues with it syncing?
Well, I don't, that's not the issue anymore. Now I'm just kind of concerned. I stopped doing that. It
Okay.
wasn't working. But I'm more concerned now about getting those dates and all those important information, like little pop-ups and like things that
Yeah.
we should know on the mobile app. Is there any way, is there to find that on
No, you
there?
have
No.
to do the web app. You have to go on the web. You have
Yeah.
to use the web
Okay,
version
to
of
do all those small
ProviderSoft
things.
to get
Yeah.
that. But when you use, I mean, just use the web app. I'm on there now, just to
Mhm.
give you guys an idea. You don't have it tells you when your prescriptions are due, when your
Yes,
progress reports are
Mhm.
it
due.
does.
It gives you
Mhm.
all that information if you just sign in. And if you need the Competent Care ProviderSoft link, right? Because a lot of different EI agencies use ProviderSoft. You can't just
Mhm.
log into ProviderSoft. You have to log into Competent Care's ProviderSoft to see your
Right.
children, right? And all the information that you would want on that child.
Mhm.
So I'm happy to send you the link, Allie, so you can use the web app to track all of the other things. That's what you're asking, right?
Yes, yeah,
I
just to
have
make
it
it
both on my
faster
phone.
and
I
more
have the
simple.
web app
I
and
think that's what I want to do. Yeah,
so
I
I have
want
the
both.
web app and I added a shortcut so I can go right in
Yeah,
and
that's what I
save
need.
my password.
Okay.
And I also have the mobile app on my phone. I have both because I
Yeah,
use,
because I like to tell my parents ahead of time when their stuff is like when their
yeah. Okay.
authorization is expiring. I
Yeah.
like to let them know because sometimes their service coordinators don't let them know and then they are upset. And then I
Right.
feel responsible for that.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
let them
We
know
should
ahead of
always be prepared because the email that Yana sends gives a lot of information and sometimes people just ignore all the dates. She gives you
Right.
progression note. She gives you the, IFSP. She gives you a lot of information. So try
Yeah.
to just
Yeah. I just wanted to oh, there it is.
yeah. Okay.
So I just put the link in the chat. I know it doesn't look like a link, but it is a link. You copy it.
Oh, the Survey Monkey for your certificates, guys, before we forget. At the end
Yeah.
of the training, there's a Survey Monkey. On
Why
the
don't you bring
last
up the
page.
PowerPoint so they can have the access to the link?
They should all have it as well. Let me share screen. I'm gonna do this super duper 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 quick. Did you see that when I pulled it up or no? Hang on. Let's see. Quick, promise. Share. No.
Ah,
Sorry, guys. Oh, of course, at the last minute. So we have a Survey Monkey here. The last. Here, so the Survey Monkey here, you're going to fill out how you want your name on your certificate. Again, give us like a week or two because we have so many of you to get you those certificates, okay? We took attendance in the chat and we had it monitored to make sure who was on for the entirety. And then go ahead with the Survey Monkey. Did you put it in the chat, the Survey Monkey, or no?
I did not. I just put, do you need me to?
It might help because I don't know if they can access the PowerPoint. No?
How
Okay.
do we don't have the PowerPoint.
I put it
The chat.
in the chat actually in the beginning of the,
So it looks like this. It's really short. Okay.
hold on.
I get in the chat.
Yeah. Where's the link?
Hold on.
All right. Thank you all. And also while
Hold
she
on.
gets you the link,
There you go. I found it.
I just sent it. It's in the chat.
Yep. It's here.
I will also send it via email to you guys. Okay.
maybe not via email because some of the people didn't come that were on the email. That makes sense. You know what I mean, Deb?
Yeah.
So they could just do it from the chat so we know who is in
Y'all, did
attendance.
Yep, working on it.
y'all have the link?
Yep.
Awesome.
Just make sure
You
you
don't-
have the link. You can copy it somewhere. Just try to do it before closing out, okay?
Zip code, our home zip code?
No, whatever's
No, the zip
for-
codes in which you want to work, right?
Oh,
Wherever you
Yeah.
work, right?
So
Like
that's another
Allie,
thing.
you
We mark
moved.
it for you. Let us know if you're changing your zip codes, you're moving, you need a different zip code. You want to do
Akeem is on this call. I remember I spoke to Akeem 2 months ago and we had, he gave me a bunch of different zip codes. And then, last week, Lita was like, no, Akeem's not working in those zip codes anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? I just spoke with him a month ago. So when I'm covering for Lita, I'm going to be sending Akeem, cases and zip codes that he's not interested in anymore. And I don't even know it.
Yes, Amy, you can put for telehealth, put all just write
Yeah,
telehealth
if
if
you're
you're able to
telehealth,
do
put
that.
TH only. I think it's on there as an option. Or
Hey,
don't put zip codes, just put TH.
Deborah, can you send the link again now,
It's
please?
right here. It's in the
Yeah. Who is that, Ivy?
Yes.
Hi, Ivy. You want me to send it to you in the email?
I'm
Okay.
gonna do it to everybody again here. I just did.
Deborah, would you send it
You have to get rid of this
Gina?
screen. I don't see it.
I just put
Deborah,
it again.
Yes,
Would you send it to Gatina through the email?
sure.
And Deborah, could you send it to Sherry through the email, please?
Yes.
Thank
I'm sorry,
you.
who was that?
Sherry.
Sherry. Hi, Sherry.
Hi.
All right, guys, I don't want to
Sure.
keep everybody too long. Thank you so much. And please reach out for questions, any issues. I really appreciate you taking the time tonight. Rest up, you awesome people. We're so happy that you're a part of the team. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Deborah,
everyone.
Good
Yeah,
night.
Gatina, please send it through the email.
I did. I
Okay.
sent it to, that was Gatina. I sent it to Gatina and Ivy.
I'm doing it now. I'm
And
doing it now.
Gwen, and I'm Gwen. I don't see
Please
it.
send it to Michael, please.
Michael and who else?
Send it to Marvin too.
Everyone.
Who?
Marvin.
Marvin. Hi, Marvin.
Been here the entire time.
Marvin at Gmail. I know. I saw you. Michael, Marvin. Who else wanted it?
Bernice.
Bernice. Hi,
Yes,
Bernice.
I am here.
There. I'm so glad you came.
Yes, I had to.
That's awesome.
And Purette, you asked for session note training. You guys, if you have recommendations for future trainings, please email the supervisors. And if there's something you want to see, we've done other things before. We can definitely do some more specific trainings that you're asking for. So please, reach out, let us know your specific supervisor, what you need training on, or if we think everybody would benefit, if we would make it a full training for everyone. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
I'm gonna hop
Thank
off.
you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank
you,
everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right.
I invited me, Barbara, Deborah.
Yeah.
And Deb and Heather will chat tomorrow, okay?
You
Okay.
got it.
Sounds
I'll hang
good.
on if anyone needs anything.
Yeah, just about
If anyone has any
credentials.
questions.
You said credentials that you hold. What do you mean by
Like,
that?
are you an SLP, an ABA provider, a CCC SLP, a PTOT?
What you want on your certificate. So we're
Yeah.
not just writing, we want to give you your full, whatever you are, your full credentials.
I could email you, Deborah, tomorrow.
Bernice? Was that Bernice?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
hold on, Bernice, because I emailed a different Bernice.
Oh. This is Booth.
I
Bernice
gotta make
Booth.
sure I
has been
emailed the right Bernice. Hold on, here we go. Okay.
Deborah, I just finished mine. You got it?
I'm sure I did. I will check, Ivy.
But I don't know why. How do I go back to see you? I don't know.
You can, it's okay. I'll let you know if it wasn't. I'm sure it was filled out. Link. Survey link.
Yes,
Deborah,
I got
did
it,
mine
Deborah.
go through?
I got it.
Who said they got it? Bernice?
Bernice.
Oh,
If
good.
you
I
don't
did
have
send
any
it to the
questions or
right
you're not waiting
Bernice.
for anybody, you all are free to go. If you're done with your Survey Monkey, you are free to go.
Yeah, if you
Unless
want
you
to
have
hang out, I'm
questions.
here too.
Deborah, you're not tired, huh?
I'm very tired. I gotta go to the gym in the morning.
Oh, God.
Deborah, can I get it to my email too?
Sure, Alex, no problem.
Thank you.
I think I did
Do I have to fill it now or I can do it tomorrow?
No, it'll take you about 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
fast, too.
Okay, I'll do it in my email.
I
Okay.
think I did it.
Hold on.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Alex. Hold on.
I just did it and it came out blank. I don't know why. When I tried to email it to you, it came out.
You don't have to email the survey. You just have to complete it and hit
And
submit,
click
and then
it,
I
but then-
automatically will see it.
And Deborah, that you'll be in the office tomorrow, right, all day?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
All day.
Okay.
So
Alex,
just
it's
hit
coming
done.
your way in a second.
So I hit done and you got it?
That's it. I will automatically get it. You don't have to do anything.
All right. Did you get it? Because I hit done.
Hold on, because I don't know yet. I am emailing Alex the link. Copy URL. Link.
I didn't leave. I just stayed because I was like, does somebody have questions? No.
Yeah, I'm here if you need anything.
Deborah, did you check if you received mine?
I just have a question. When you, like, when I go on vacation and I'm out for a whole week and I do the gap, gap in service, do I also have to do that for session notes too every single day? How does that
So
work?
we just
No,
cross it
absolutely
out
not.
there.
You only have to do a gap in service when there's more than 3 days of missed services for the same reason. And then you do a gap in service form.
That's it. So you don't have to go in and do the session notes saying,
No, so if it's for the same reason, but like if you have 5 missed sessions and it's for all different reasons, you
Right.
still have to write the session notes for those. But if it's a vacation and it's all the same reason, just one should cover it.
okay. Okay. Thank
Right,
you.
I have 36 notifications so far, which is great. I just,
Yeah, because I sent it.
yeah. I'm sure I have it. Edit clip.
Angela, did you have any questions? I don't know if she's still on, so, or Amanda. Okay.
Or wherever, you remember what it was like being in your bed, waking up in the morning.
All right.
You do. You do.
Okay, we're not muted. All right, everybody.
I'm gonna
That's
see.
Are we good? Is everyone good?
Good night. Good night.
I guess I'll text you and see if you got mine. Gwen Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay, because I did done, but it's
Yeah.
didn't